Lawrence O'Donnell sure did a good job of showing that all the sycophants, grown men and some women who work for Donald Trump, their sycophancy puts Trump ahead of America's democracy. But it took a 20-something-year-old young woman to really have the prescient statement. What do we need to do in these next few months to save our democracy? And it sure means not electing Donald Trump. Take a listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
If I thought it would make a difference, I'd be more willing to do it. But you're taking a lot of financial risks, and I haven't seen any evidence it really matters. Those words were spoken by someone quoted in a Washington Post article yesterday about former Trump White House and Trump administration officials who know Donald Trump should not be president again. Some of them, like Trump's second White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, allowed their names to be used opposing Donald Trump's election, but many of them were afraid to allow their names to become public, like the man I just quoted. And we know he's a man because the Washington Post referred to him that way. Another prominent former official said he was debating whether speaking out would lead to clients dropping him. Clients. That means he's a lawyer or a lobbyist or both. And that means those clients very likely provide him with an income in the millions of dollars, an income that for him is apparently more important than his conscience or his sense of duty. Cassidy Hutchinson is 26 years old and has no clients to lose. She was 25 years old when she decided to do what the unnamed sources in the Washington Post are afraid of doing. Tell the truth about Donald Trump and her boss, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, to the January 6th committee. She has told the story of how she became the star witness against Donald Trump in her best-selling book titled Enough. Here's what Cassidy Hutchinson said last night to Jen Psaki about the rich men who served in the Trump White House who know that Donald Trump should never be president again, but for whom nothing Donald Trump says or does to destroy the Constitution is enough to provoke them to come forward and publicly tell the truth about Donald Trump.
I think about, and the Washington Post put out a good story today about that, Jen, and there are a few particular quotes that stuck out to me, but towards the last half of the article, there were former Trump aides, anonymous former Trump aides, but I will point out that they were given masculine pronouns. So namely, primarily men who were speaking with the Washington Post anonymously about how they might want to speak out if he is the nominee, or they don't think it's worth speaking out because they'll lose clients. And what I'll say to them, I do understand a fear of retribution. I do fear backlash. I do understand their fear of backlash. But when we think about this next election in 2024, I don't like to play a doomsday hypothesis, but it does look like he is going to be the Republican nominee as of right now. If Donald Trump is elected president again in 2024, I do fear that it will be the last election where we're voting for democracy, because if he is elected again, I don't think that we'll be voting under the same Constitution that we would be if Joe Biden is elected in 2024. I will say my door is completely shut to voting for Donald Trump. And the only reason that I will not endorse a candidate right now is because I still am hopeful that Donald Trump does not end up being the nominee next year. I think our country will be in a much better place overall, not just for myself, but the ticket and the future of our country will be. But what I will say too, though, is I think everybody should vote for Joe Biden if they want our democracy to survive.
Cassidy Hutchinson, she's no progressive. She's no Democrat. She's no liberal. She is a very conservative woman who still believes in the tenets of republicanism, old republicanism. Well, not old, Reagan-type republicanism, type of republicanism that I am anathema towards. But above and beyond all of that, she saw the reality: country first, democracy first. Something that grown men that one would believe could have the courage to say, I am not going to go through that rabbit hole that takes us into fascism, where I myself, these grown men, would suffer as well. Will it turn out that the people who save our democracy are the ones that we least would have ever expected to save it? Let's see.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.